Hello everybody, it is Al9, it is Brony time, and welcome back to Apollo Justice 8th Turn Trilogy. When we last left off, we, kind of brought out the igniter and everything that's happened. And now we have found ourselves in a bit of a pickle. The window was closed, so there's no way, Lamar could have heard anything. So where was she? And the answer, of course, is she had to be somewhere else. There's no other explanation. When we investigated the scene, the window was closed. The shooter had no reason to close it, had it been open either. Sorry, I had to open my drink there because my voice needed it. Meaning it was impossible to hear the voice through that window. Ah, it's good to hear you making sense again. For a moment, I was afraid you might be a Borginian too. As I was saying, Lamar could not hear the voice through that window. So there can only be one explanation. She heard the voice from another location entirely. But watch this. You do amuse me so. And here I thought you and Good Sense were back on speaking terms. But I'm afraid you and Good Sense speak two entirely different languages. Shall I interpret for you, Air Forehead? Lamar stated she heard the voice through that small window. And there is only one small window at the scene. Are you sure? Think about it. Isn't there another small window at the scene? There is. I know that look. He wants us to ask him. Very well, you claim Lamar heard the voice from another location. Mr. Justice, show us where this location was. Lamar heard the voice from here. Does this look like a small window to you, Mr. Justice? The state of modern science can be read from numerous objects and artifacts. In a sense, anything can be a window on our society. I did ask you to point out a window on society. I want a window on the crime scene. Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. Sorry, this is blind. There we go. Those were lights. I thought that was a vent. This is where Lamar heard that voice from. But that's no small window. That's the air vent. What did she tell us? She said she's a Borginian unfamiliar with her language. It's not a stretch to imagine she called this air vent a small window. Now you've done it. You've gone beyond ridiculous into ludicrous. So Lamar was up in the ventilation system listening to this man's voice? That's the only logical explanation, yes. Logical. I do not think this word means what you think it means for Air Forehead. Okay, what about it isn't logical? Ha! It's hardly meant to say. Why would Lamar be in the ventilation system? Hiding like a rat. No offense intended to her, of course. The explanation for that is simple, Prosecutor Gavin. Isn't it, Lamar? You have been listening to our discussion here, yes? Yes. I admit it's had me quite confused since yesterday. Yes, the small window was closed. But why should that mean that I could not hear through it? I feared our prosecutor might himself need an interpreter. The problem here is words. Lamar, this small window through which you heard the voice, was it up high on the ceiling of the room? Not low on a wall? Yes, it was up on the ceiling. What? Order, order, I will have order. Witness, you will clarify this statement to the court. Are you, in fact, saying that you were up above the ceiling of the room? And that's where you heard the moment of the crime? Yes, in fact, I was. I am sorry. I never imagined it would become such an important point. Yes, well, why the heck were you up there? I believe it's time for another testimony. I am not sure. I can't. May I remind you this is a murder trial. We will hear your testimony. Tell us why you witnessed the crime from above the ceiling of that room. Please. Well, looks like I'm on the right track. Yes, I was above the ceiling when I heard the voice. I had heard there was a small window there before. It was in the middle of my performance. I had no time to report it what I heard. As to why I was there, I cannot say. I am bound to secrecy on this matter. But bound to secrecy? In my line of work, one has many obligations to uphold. Did you say you were in the middle of your performance? So this did happen during the second set. I did not witness the crime, you must understand. I only know what I heard. Yes, but you must tell us what we're doing in detail. That's what the cross-examination is for, ja, Air Forehead? Our mission in this court is to discern the truth. No obligation, no binding pacts may hinder that mission. Very well. Mr. Justice, you may begin the cross-examination. What are you going to do, Apollo? I'm going to find out the truth. She was up above that ceiling for a reason. I just have to get it out of her. I think I have an idea what it is. It's the magic trick. It's the illusion. And I think the best piece of evidence we got for that is the recording of the performance. Objection! Shit. Rule. Try to think before you make accusations, Mr. Justice. Goes so well. Oh, I presented on the wrong statement. A lot of these mistakes have been just mistakes by me, not actually not knowing what the answer was. I'm gonna save here real quick now that we're getting a little low. So if we get a game over, we don't have to go through the main screen and everything. More, truth be told, the reason for your presence above that ceiling is quite clear. Especially when you consider what happened during your performance. What happened? Yes, it is all right here on this video. As we can see, Lemoire was clearly not on stage for her entire performance. Though it saddens me to be so realistic, Lemoire is incapable of actually vanishing, let alone teleportation. So the only explanation is that she was hidden from view, and during that time, she moved to the back of the forum. Apollo! What, Trucy? It's not nice to reveal magician secrets, and it's against the rules, but I'm a lawyer, I'm not supposed to be nice. This is all very fascinating, but how is it possible? There's only 20 seconds between when she disappears and reappears. She couldn't have moved that fast. Is something wrong, Prosecutor Gavin? This was his concert, his show. He knows how the illusion was performed. Aha! He's just realizing his own oversight. Let's look at the cross-section diagram. Here we can trace the route through the ceiling. It goes from the stage through the backstage to the rear of the forum. Recall Lamoire's testimony from yesterday. I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There was something like a little window there. That's how I saw it. She went from the stage to the backstage exit. A perfect description of this route above the ceiling. Lamar knew of this because of her part in the illusion, but she wasn't the only one who knew. What? Just now in the lobby, Machi told me something. I know if I opening vent, I can leave stage and backstage. He said that? Oh, were you not informed, Prosecutor Gavin? I know about the Vanishing Act, of course. I had no idea of the routes that would be used. Why didn't that magician tell me? Magicians only reveal details of their acts on a need-to-know basis. They're the bread and butter of a magician's life, you know. Which is why he bound Lamoire to secrecy. Excuse me? Well, Lamoire? I am impressed, Mr. Attorney. Machi was right about you. So, what does this mean? Are you saying you use this route above the ceiling? I did. Well, that's that, but I'm still a little confused. Why is that, Your Honor? As I said before. There was very little time between when she disappeared and when she reappeared. "20 seconds, tops. How could she do it so fast? Especially if she stopped to hear the shooter's voice." That's a good question. Can the witness explain this to the court? I cannot. Very well, Mr. Justice. Yes? It's all up to you. Do your thing. What thing, Your Honor? You need to explain how Lamoire was able to teleport like she did. Or am I throwing your case out with the bathwater? I don't get picked on. It's Lamoire who isn't going along with this program here. As I have stated before, I am not at liberty to speak of the illusion that night in detail. You'll just have to tell us what you can. We'll hear your testimony on this. Mr. Justice, it would be your job to bring the truth out of her. Yes, if you would, please. Right. Feel like a student before finals. Good luck, Apollo. I followed the route exactly as I was instructed. There is an emergency exit in the backstage where a stagehand waited. From there, one can enter the forum on the opposite side from the stage. The plan was for me to move there in 2 minutes. I was on my way when I heard the voice. 2 minutes, you say? The mystery deepens. Suppose it was too much to hope the judge would come up with something. As does my curiosity. Take it away, Mr. Justice. Right, Your Honor. All I have to do is find the contradiction between what Lamoire is saying and what we can see plainly in the video. Figured it out already. I'm a magician after all. Well, tell me. Not a chance. I can't reveal another magician's secrets. Come on. Hey, you're supposed to be on my side here. Okay. Two minutes. How could you do that? You gotta tell us. 2 minutes? Yes, it can be done in 1 minute if you are running. Running in that cramped, dark tunnel above the ceiling? Mr. Attorney, have you forgotten? Dark or lit, it makes no difference to me. That's true, but Cyril's saying that on the night of the concert you made the trip in 2 minutes. Yes, though I nearly didn't make it in time. You see, I stopped halfway. Lamar disappears on the video for 20 seconds. She says she made the trip in 2 minutes. How? If you want my professional opinion, I bet the answer's right there in that video. Well, Mr. Justice, perhaps you have some evidence for us. Something that can explain the discrepancy between the video and her testimony. I'm just explaining the discrepancy. There's one piece of evidence that explains the discrepancy between the video and the testimony. How did this brooch end up in there if she made the trip in 2 minutes? Lamoire, do you happen to remember this brooch? Aha, the brooch. We saw that yesterday, did we not? It was found at the scene, Your Honor. And you're bringing this up now, why? I thought to be had already determined when that was dropped. So did I, but we hadn't. Take another look at the video. Here you can see she's wearing the brooch. So she is. Let's look a bit later. What? The brooch is gone. What? What? Yes. The brooch disappeared in a short space of 20 seconds. And it takes a full minute to run from the stage to the backstage. Which means there can only be one explanation. The Lamar we see before the Vanishing Act, the Lamar we see after, are two different people. What? What? The brooch was found on the floor at the crime scene. And not just on the floor, but on the floor directly beneath the air vent. Lamar, tell me, did you drop the brooch on your way from the stage to the backstage, at the very moment you witnessed the crime? Yes, I think I did. Order, Prosecutor Gavin. From your expression, I gather you had no idea this was the case, Judge. I, of course, knew about it. What? Don't get me wrong, I wasn't hiding it, it just never occurred to me that the switch and the shooting took place at the same time. So I was right? There was a switch? There was. Just before the stage's tower rose, Lamar was replaced. While we're on the subject, just who was this replacement Lamar? Why, the man behind the illusion, Valent Grammary. There's Grammary? That's quite the illusion, but I still don't get one thing. Yes. Switch happened before the tower rose, correct? So you weren't on the stage. That's right. But this fake Lamar is still singing. And she's pretty good. That's true. Come on, Apollo, that's an easy one. You were just playing a recording. The Gavin is on some kind of air guitar band, Fraulein. Oh, you mean I'm wrong? When we play a show live, we play live, no recordings. Perhaps you can explain, Lamar? Very well, very well. Yes, do tell and add it to your testimony. I had to keep singing even while I moved. You were singing? Yes. Mr. Gavin expressed a dislike for recordings, so I used this. Wait, so you were singing the whole time? Even when you were crawling above the ceiling toward the backstage? I shouldn't matter where I sing, when everywhere I go is the same darkness. But if you were singing while you were walking, that's right. What the shooting the victim have heard? She was singing right over their heads after all. That is right. Are you sure? You'd have to be pretty hard of hearing to miss someone singing in the ceiling. Once again, we come back to the state of the crime scene. What state? I know what he means. That old speaker, Apollo. The speaker. That speaker was blaring at the time of the murder. That's for monitoring the stage from this room. Monitoring? Pipes in a real-time feed from the stage microphones, usually for knowing when your set is coming up. Satisfied. That dressing room was fitted with a large speaker playing a direct feed from the stage. At my request, actually. So Lamar singing in the ceiling. Sounded just like Lamar singing over the speaker. Ingenious, her voice was hidden by a voice. Lamar. I have just remembered something. Do tell. When I heard the noise, the gunshots, yes. It startled me, so I stopped singing. What? I forgot the words I was supposed to sing. The song stopped? Thankfully, it was the very beginning of the second verse, so not many would notice. Foreheads, that mixing board I lent you. Where is it? The mixing, huh? That machine, Apollo, the one that breaks music into tracks. Oh, this. I completely forgotten about it. song does stop there. It does. I must have missed it. Look at the lyric sheet at the top of the second verse. See where it says pleasure, pleasure? Now listen again. This is the evidence indeed. I believe we're all guilty of making a terrible mistake. The crime didn't happen during the third set. It happened during the second, during Lamoire's ballad. If that is true, then no one on stage during the second set could have been the shooter, which means that Darren Crescent could have done it. He wasn't on stage for the second set. Well, Prosecutor Gavin? Fascinating. I don't believe I've ever seen a trial turn around quite so thoroughly. Yet one problem remains. What's that, Prosecutor Gavin? Our forehead theory does have a certain kind of logic to it. Yet it is entirely based upon Lamoire's testimony. Yes, is there a problem with this? Well, it's quite simple, though it pains me to say it. What if she is lying to protect the defendant? But you have no proof. All I'm saying is that the truth is as yet unclear, until we hear directly from the man himself. The man you don't mean? Yes. Though he is a friend and a band member, Darren Crescent must take the stand. I see no other way. As someone with a new perspective on the case, as a suspect, to be frank. Finally, the rat's coming out of his hole. I'm ready to catch him. Darren Crescent, get ready for justice. This is as good time as any to pause for a brief recess. The prosecution will summon the witness. Have him here and ready by the time we begin. I am the last man who needs to be reminded of what his duties are. Very well, court is adjourned for a 15-minute recess. Ah, wow. Well, there we go. It took us a while, but we got here. Getting the real killer on stage. I guarantee you the second cue he missed is going to come up. Apollo, I can't believe it. It really happened during the second act, and right in the middle of Lamoire's performance. And that's why he missed his cue. The reason why she was in that air vent, and that switch and the flaming guitar, when you link it all together, that's what you end up with. I knew you had what it took. Ah, Daddy! Daddy! Mr. Wright, you believed in me? Not really. Huh? I just thought that'd make a cooler entrance than say, hiya. Why do I even bother hoping? Where have you been lately, Daddy? You haven't been coming to the office at all. Ah, sorry about that, Truzy. I'm on a secret mission. Secret? You mean like you're undercover? Like Mr. Latouche, only shorter and not as well dressed? Oh no, what if you're shot too, Daddy? Would I do a thing like that to you? Anyway, I'm off for a while again. Huh? You're leaving? Oh, one thing before I go. What? Good luck. Right. Is that all you came to say? I think you have things pretty much under control. You'll get Machi Tobai off the hook, no doubt. Yeah, but you're after that detective, aren't you? Darren Crescent. It won't be easy proving you did it. Especially not under the current court system. The current court system? What did Prosecutor Gavin say during the trial? Her case is based on one fragile assumption. Namely that our diva divine is telling the truth. What about all the proof? The brooch, and the switch? A piece of jewelry and a lyrical blunder. There are plenty of other ways to explain these things. Blaming guitar, too. All because you lack definitive proof of their connection to the case. But if the sultry songstress is lying, her case melts like a butter in a frying pan, leaving behind the faintly sin scent of failure. So what do I do? Like I said, good luck. Be aware that it will be impossible to prove his guilt by conventional methods. Oh, that reminds me. I have something to give you from our detective friend. Detective Sky? Emma? Let's see, this bag of snacks. Here was meant for me. Ah, here it is. What are those, Daddy? They don't look like very good snacking material. They were found at the scene. Analysis of the fragments revealed traces of gunpowder. Gunpowder? Probably a firecracker or something similar, like the ones kids are into these days. These fragments were found under the sofa at the scene of the crime, actually. Under the sofa? Hey, Apollo! That's where he found that little device thingy. Right. This. Well, finally, some evidence that makes sense. That's all from me, I suppose. See you after the verdict. Maybe. Right. Every man has an igniter inside him. Excuse me? Find Darian Crescent's igniter and set it off. And he walked out the door just like a magician, normally. What does he want us to do? No conventional methods? What does that mean? Guess we just have to take his advice and hope it makes sense when the time comes. I guess. We're almost at the finish line. Hang in there, Trucy. Court is now back in session. Oh god. The music just... Prosecutor Gavin, where's Detective Crescent? In the witness lounge, ready to be called at any time. Very well. Might I add, I don't believe any of this. He, Darian, was the first detective I ever worked with. We stopped working together when he moved to Criminal Affairs Division 3. But his guitar playing, it fires my imagination. That's nice, but it has nothing to do with the matter at hand, correct? Oh, I know, Air Forehead. Very well, call the final witness to the stand, Detective Darian Crescent. Name and occupation, please. Darian Crescent, Detective, Criminal Affairs, Division 3. That's the International Affairs Division, for those of you who didn't know. And I'm a guitarist for the Gaviners. Maybe you heard of us. Do you fully understand the circumstances on which you stand before us today? Yeah, I understand, Your Honor. What I don't understand is how you let this happen, partner. You gave me your word I wouldn't be standing here. The situation's changed, Darian. And don't call me partner. So much for old friends. I see what you're doing, Darian. You're pressing the prosecution. Your Honor, if we could begin the trial... Yes, it's high time we did. Let's hear your testimony. You may begin with your response to Lamar's testimony. If in fact you have anything to say about it. Oh, I got plenty to say. Lying must be a national pastime in Virginia. And wherever you're from, Mr. Justice. Ha! Conventional methods are out the window, huh? Here goes nothing. Diva's lying, plain and simple. She's got nothing to back up her story. In the first place, she never heard my voice. She forgot the words because she heard gunshots, as if. Didn't Detective Emma Sky hear those gunshots during the third set anyway? The shooting took place when I was on stage, man. So you claim Lamar's testimony was a lie. Hey, don't get me wrong. I dig what she's doing, trying to protect that kid. She's got the court eating vague statements out of her hand just because she's blind. You go too far, Darian. Look, all I'm saying is you got a reliable witness. Why not listen to the detective? Detective Sky, I see. Mr. Justice, you may begin the cross-examination. Didn't waste any time finding a weak spot. I can't do this with Lamar's testimony alone. I'll have to find some other way to prove when the shooting took place. Buddy. We have a new piece of evidence that can explain why she thought she heard gunshots. Objection! Some things were found at the crime scene after yesterday's trial. What things? The first was this small device. That's the remote trigger igniter. Correct. And one more thing. What are those? The remains of something burnt? Not another guitar, I hope. Traces of gunpowder were found on these fragments. We have a report that it was something like a firecracker. Eh? How did Gavin know about this? But you think Detective Sky works for you? I received the reports this morning before coming here. That's when I made my decision, actually. What decision is this, Prosecutor Gavin? I registered Darren as a witness in today's trial. Just in case. This raises another possibility. Those gunshot-like sounds during the third set could have been 2 firecrackers rigged to go off by remote control. Ha ha! You got an active imagination, don't you? But you shouldn't say every little thing you think. Your explanation there seems a bit too convenient to me. How so? So you're saying these firecrackers just happened to go off, right when 2 witnesses came walking by? Ha! That's right. Darian was out on stage when it happened, Apollo. How do you know someone was backstage right then? The firecracker goes off in the forest and there's no one there to hear. You get my drift. Why go through the trouble, man? How do I explain this? He may not look it, but Dan is a gifted detective. Show any weakness, and he's sure to find it. May not look it, partner? Gee, thanks, man. That reminds me. It happened to pass through that very hallway several times that day myself. Did I something odd there just before the third set? Something odd? A headset. The kind all of the band and staff members were wearing. That's right. You picked this up in front of the door to that dressing room. What if that headset wasn't dropped but placed? And what if it was turned on? You could hear what was going on in that hallway, even if you were on stage. Feh. Whose side are you on, Gavin? Listen to me, Darian. There are no sides in a court of law. Which is why I now turn to you, Air Foreheads. I have a question for you. Huh? For me? The igniter and the burnt fragments that were found at the scene of the crime. It's certainly a possibility that they were part of a ruse to fake the sound of the gunshots. Throw the headset from the hallway into the mix, and you could fabricate an alibi. But we're still no closer to proving anything. Those gunshots might have been real or fake, we can't say. You raised the possibility that the shots heard during the third set were faked. Now you need to prove the other half of the case. The other half? Look, I'll just tell him. He wants you to prove the thing went down in the second act, while our little piano player was on stage. That's right, Gavin? Indeed, if you can't prove that, then to continue this cross-examination would be pointless. Well, Mr. Justice, can you prove the crime took place during the second set? Yeah, I think. You'd better know, Apollo, otherwise we're through. It can't be proven. You make it sound like someone else is going to come along and do it for you. Let's continue the cross-examination then, shall we? Witness your testimony, if you would. This isn't going to be easy. I need some decisive proof. Fast. Heh. You ready, kid? 'Cause I am. The shooting took place during the second set. If you're sure, let's see your proof. Wait a minute. I'm not sure if this is exactly it, but it's the only thing that I can think of that could prove it is the mixing board. So I'm gonna throw this out and see. Well, that's it. It seems there was clear proof left behind, right here in Lamar's song. Her song? What exactly is this device thingy? A new variety of gramophone, perhaps? Sorry, I keep switching between old judge voices. I'm trying to give him a distinct one. Come on, we just use this, and don't get me started on gramophone. This device was used to record the performance part by part. Part? You move the sliders to adjust the volume. Each instrument is adjustable separately, Lamar's voice included. Oh-ho! But what does this prove? According to Lamar's testimony, At the moment of the shooting, she forgot the words to the song. Ah, you intend to examine the recording at that moment, yeah? We might even hear those gunshots. Exactly. Ha! Ridiculous. How are you supposed to hear gunshots back in that dressing room out on stage? Have you forgotten, Darian? We were all wearing these headsets. Oh. We were all deeply involved in our performance, but Amar's headset would have picked up what she heard all the same. Then let's get to analyzing that recording. Right now. Find the spot and I'll find the gunshots. Okay, so I'm gonna go through each of these. Volume. Aha, there it is. Your Honor, listen closely to this part. This is a track with Lamar's vocals. I did hear something faintly there, yes. Why, it sounded like a gunshot. What? This has to be some kind of mistake. I believe the case has been made. Gunshots were heard during the second sit, which means Lamar's testimony was true. Ugh. Order. So she was telling the truth about what she heard? Just after that, there was a gunshot, and then the guitar caught on fire. Detective Christians, you weren't on stage during the second set. You could have done it. But why did we only hear one gunshot on the recording? Weren't 2 bullets fired from this weapon? Lamar was moving through the air vent, Your Honor. She must not have been close enough for her mic to catch the first shot. But then, as she passed over the dressing room, the gun fired again and Mr. Chu's life was taken. Well, Detective Crescent? Once again I am reminded of something. Our performance that day. Your performance? Seeing the mixing board jogged my memory. You were there too, Air Forehead. What is it with today? Problem after problem, Achtung! My hog won't start, my guitar case is busted. My guitar's been burnt to a crisp, and to top it all off, someone's dead. And then there was that performance just now. What was that all about? This part is off. Which is that, Second guitar. It was you, Darian. I thought it strange at the time, and that's something that I noticed too. That was my thing, like, he missed a second cue. How could you miss such a simple cue? I know you. I know how you play. You're better than that. Yeah, well, You watch, and Prosecutor Gavin, what are you getting at? I'm talking about the murder weapon, Mr. 245 caliber hand cannon. As we have learned, even the shooter doesn't go unscarred with a revolver that size. The kickback is enough to dislocate your shoulder, if you're an amateur. Wait, you mean his plane was affected because he hurt himself shooting that revolver? Ha! You're forgetting something. Yes, Detective Crescent? I'm a trained police officer, you know. I've had firearms training, plenty of it. I'm no amateur. The standard sidearm issued to police officers is a .38 caliber weapon, A much tamer beast. Also, the murder weapon belonged to the victim, Mr. Latouche. It suggests that there was a struggle between killer and victim. So, the killer might not have been holding the revolver correctly when he fired. Is that what you mean? This thought had occurred to me, yes. Well, does the witness have anything to say to this? Detective Crescent! What I want to ask is what Mr. Sleaze rolled up ready for action has to say. Hey you, attorney. Me? Exactly which piece of your evidence is decisive again? You got a little noise on a tape that could be anything. And you have an alleged guitar cue missed due to a .45 caliber kickback. I weep for this cape, Gavin. I really do. You can line up your little weak pieces of evidence all you want. I didn't shoot that manager. And that's the obvious truth. The witness has a point. The defense arguments, while persuasive, are not decisive. I believe we should hear what the witness has to say in response to the case so far. Your testimony, please, Detective Crescent. Tell us your reasons why you couldn't have done it. Come on, why would you even want to kill that manager? You want a reason? Easy. I got no motive, man. That was that diva's first trip to this country, right? How could I possibly know her manager? If I didn't know him, why would I want to kill him? A simple reason, indeed. Prosecutor Gavin, is it the case that Mr. Latouche had not been to our country before? According to our records, yes, not even once. I see. Very well. Mr. Justice, you may begin the cross-examination. Great, I need to find a motive. I love it when we always need to find motives. And they never do. There is one thing. I mean, he could have known about the replica because he worked for the police station. He would have received that info. Your Honor, take a look at this. What's that? Looks like candy. It's not. Don't lick it, please. Detective Crescent, ever seen this? Looks like a piece of candy. The way his eyes looked right there. What it is evidence. Don't lick it before you try it. Specifically, this is a replica of a cocoon. It was found among the victim's belongings. A cocoon, never seen one that color. It is a variety only found in the Republic of Virginia. Nowhere else. Alright, but what is this cocoon replica doing in my court? Surely this has nothing to do with a motive for killing Mr. Latouche, does it? It does. Wait, I think it does. You don't sound so confident, man. A cocoon? Is it one of those silky cocoons? The kind that you can make, well, silk out of? Not this one. This cocoon makes a powerful curative. A curative for what? Apparently, it is most effective at treating a disease thought incurable. It is the only medicine of its kind. However, it is illegal to take one of these healing cocoons out of Virginia. Whatever for? If it's such a miracle cure, why not share it with the world? Yeah, that's what I've been wondering. We looked into the matter at some length. Apparently, it isn't difficult at all to manufacture the remedy from the cocoon. Yet, if you change the process only slightly, you can easily make a large quantity of something else entirely. A deadly poison, in fact. What? There was an instance several years ago where some of these got onto the black market. It caused quite the commotion in the global community, though the media was kept largely unaware. Intriguing. All this has led to a strict ban on the cocoon's export, one rigidly enforced by Interpol among others. Interpol? Right. The victim Romain Latouche was an Interpol agent. Detective Crescent, you insist on referring to him as a manager, but that is misleading. Romain Latouche wasn't killed as a manager. He was killed as an undercover agent. So he's trying to smuggle this gumball into the country? That what you're trying to say? I'm saying that could well be a motive for murder. Oh, so I was going to sell it on the black market? Make myself a pretty penny? Ridiculous. Totally unthinkable. Unthinkable, you say? Why? Perhaps it is time for another testimony about this smuggling of cocoons business. International Affairs got a memo about these cocoons. Interpol's all hot and bothered about them. Can't sell them on the black market, too dangerous. Yeah, cocoon smuggling ain't exactly lucrative anymore. I mean, I'm in international affairs. I know the deal. That means you could have known. Indeed, Interpol wanted these cocoons bad enough to send Mr. Latouche undercover. You can think of the craziest things. No way am I going to risk life and limb just to get my hands on some dirty cocoon money. Not the most noble of statements, but duly noted. According to the reports, these cocoons top Interpol's list. Selling them to an underground organization would be risky. Very well. We may begin cross-examination. This is the only motive I've got. He was up to something, and I'm going to find out what. But what if you had a reasoning to? What if you had a big enough reason to do it? Because you may not need to sell to the black market. Of course it is, yeah. It's to cure the sun. Like, the Chief Justice's son is inflicted with this disease, and it can cure it.
Objection!
But why not choose the less dangerous buyer then? I would. How clueless are you? Everyone in the market's dangerous. The second they found out I was a cop, I could kiss my keister goodbye. Why sell to a black market buyer? How about someone like this? That article, that's about the Chief Justices. A deadly poison can be extracted from the cocoon, but so can a cure. And not a cure for just any disease. A cure for incuritus. Incuritis? I've heard of that somewhere. Went to visit a victim of the disease this morning. Aha! Why, that's the disease the Chief Justice's son has. You aren't saying. Our witness is a detective. He would have contact with the Chief Justice. You are saying the Chief Justice would never deal in contraband? Not even to save his own son's life? But even if the deal went through, why? It'd be an international scandal. That's Detective Christian's insurance. If word ever got out that the one with come on. I hate when the game does that. If word ever got out, the one with his neck on the line would be the Chief Justice. Detective Christian, is this true? First I'm a murderer, now I'm a smuggler. How many crimes are you trying to pin on me anyway? Distasteful as it is to think about it, if the Chief Justice were the buyer, why a seller couldn't hope for a better deal. A very cowardly seller. Don't let sleaze over there trick you. So I made a deal with the Chief Justice. Where's your proof? Well, oh yeah, and you're forgetting one other important thing. Do tell. Interpol isn't the only ones out there watching this. Virginian Customs barely sleeps. They're so worried about cocoons getting out. So we're informed. Let's continue with the cross-examination. Trying to think here. But, I tricked ya. We will put the final nail in this guy's coffin next time on Apollo Justice Ace Attorney. That is right. We have come to the end of this episode. Hoo boy, things are getting crazy. So, it's as I thought. He obviously was trying to get his hand on Cocoon to sell to the Chief Justice's son. Maybe because he cared about it, maybe because he knows his son, or maybe he just wanted money. And I guarantee you, it's probably because he just wanted the money. But we'll have to prove this in the next the next video, and I have to take a break for lunch. So, thank you all for watching. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to Brony Time for more content, especially more Apollo Justice. Please make sure to share this video far and wide so it can reach as many eyes as possible. And, sorry, gosh. I will see you guys next time.